run. Let's get out of this town. Baby, let's run. Don't go making a sound. Leave at night when no one's around. Baby, let's run. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of this town. Baby, let's run. Don't go making a sound. Leave at night when no one's around. Baby, let's run. Let's get out of here.
My guest today on the podcast, the great Robert Bruce Burnham, Portland artist, band leader, composer extraordinaire. It's the 525 Records podcast. Robert, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
I haven't seen you in so long. When was the last time we saw each other?
I don't even know. Probably like 2 years ago, something like that. Probably like in this house, barbecue, backyard, something like that.
Well, I live in Vegas. You're an avid poker player and gambler.
Is that the last time we saw each other?
Well, I was thinking before you came over of the time that you came to Vegas. I don't know, it was 5 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And you were staying behind the MGM. We wound up in the MGM cash game.
Yeah, that signature, that hotel there is good.
And I was pretty broke at the time, but I think I bought in for $200 or $300.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting there, 1-2 blinds, on the same table. It was great.
It was fun, yeah.
I cut an ace king. I think I was in the small blind. Oh no, I'm sorry. I cut an ace queen, and it went raise, pre-flop maybe two or three times, and guy went in over the top, and I just had this gut instinct. I know he doesn't have a pair, and fuck it, why not? I'm gonna go ahead and call it. It felt like a bluff, and he turned over an ace king.
Right, that's right.
Such is life.
That's called poker, I guess, right?
Yeah, but when was the last time you went to Vegas?
It's probably been, that was probably the last time. No, I went Halloween 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Yeah,
and then what you got to fill me up to speed.
I miss Vegas. I like Vegas.
Yeah.
I need to go down to Vegas.
It's a trip now, but...
well, weed's legal now.
It is.
Because so last time I was there was right before, so that's good.
Yeah. What is the poker scene like in Portland these days?
It's dead. COVID killed it. But I also don't have time to play, so there might be some stuff that's picked back up, but as far as I know, it's dead. All the good clubs are closed, the Encore and those are done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. I remember going up to the center and playing the 2-4 limit game.
I think that's happening again.
That was pretty popular. They had 5-10. I mean, they had some
440.
Decent stake games going.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of sharks coming in. It was pretty intense. It's not what you would expect from a little casino.
I went and played right before COVID hit or whatever. I went and played there's like a Thursday morning. Might as well be called the old man tournament, and they give you free breakfast with it for your $40 entry or whatever. And that's probably the last time I played any live poker.
Wow.
I busted out like, I don't know, third round or something. Sucked. Similar situation to yours, actually. Ace queen.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you go with it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much different, when you're sitting across from someone. You can read their body language and, get a real good feel for the action as the round progresses versus online, which is just so rapid fire.
It's just math. You just play math poker online.
It is, yeah. I've been playing WSOP online, low stakes, $5 tourneys. Every day it's like a 5-hour tourney, $5 buy-in.
I play their fake money part, but I didn't know they had a real money part.
Yeah.
I need to get on that.
I came in 6th and got like $80. It was great.
It's nice.
For 5 hours of work.
Right? But it's pretty nice work.
When you went to Vegas, what else would you gamble on? I'm just curious.
So what would usually happen when I went to Vegas is I would go down to the MGM or whatever casino I was staying in and play poker. And I usually could come up, $300-$400 a night because there's a lot of people just playing stupid poker there. And you just wait for them, And I enjoyed that. But my problem is I would, on my walk back to the room, there's always like these progressive jackpots above these stupid slot machines. And so, I figured, I'm up. And all of a sudden I would throw all my money in these stupid machines on the way back, trying to win, $200,000 or whatever.
And then you hear the casino's evil laugh in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, working down there for 20 years and dealing craps at various casinos, like working at the Nugget downtown, I would hear all the time. There was a cocktail waitress at Binion's that won a couple million on a Addams Family progressive, and you would hear these stories like, oh man, I always thought that would happen to me, but never did. I always thought I'd win the Wheel of Fortune. I've seen 2 Wheel of Fortunes hit with my own eyes.
I think we played a little
wheels.
Wheel of Fortune. I think we were talking about this when that 5 years ago or whatever.
They're linked statewide, and there's a website you can see every time one of them hits, whether it's a $0.25, $5, whatever. So I mean, every week somebody's winning that thing. I heard one guy hit it on the at the airport right on the way out of town, which is, I mean, how lucky is that guy?
Right. Well, hopefully he lost a bunch of money and he was all sad and just putting his last dollar in. That's how I always like to imagine that, and then he wins, whatever.
Yeah, just like Vegas Vacation.
Right.
Hitting the Keno.
Right.
So what have you been up to these last few years, buddy? Man, I haven't seen you so long.
I've been working way too much. I met a girl who runs an estate sale company, and I got involved in doing that, and it's super fun, but it's a ton of work too. So I just been doing that literally, 7 days a week, mostly. Pretty much that's it. I play a little music. I got a little studio to kind of away from the house. I was having trouble playing some music in the house, like kind of finding space to feel whatever creative. But I got myself a little space now, and I don't know, playing more, taking some more time for myself as opposed to just working. So,
dude, I don't want to rip open any open wounds, but whatever happened to the mansion that you used to have right off
it wasn't a mansion,
Grand.
dude. Yeah, it was 2 houses or whatever. But my ex-wife still currently resides there.
Oh, okay. So it didn't get sold or anything.
No, she's waiting until it's worth $3 million. She told me.
It's got to be close, right?
No, it's probably like 1.5 now, which is just stupid because we paid $200 for it in '98.
Yeah.
But it was the ghetto of Portland at that
But
time.
a huge house on a huge lot.
Yeah.
Multiple garages.
A whole carriage house. It's a 2,000 square foot carriage house out back. But it was falling in when we bought it, and I re-shored up all the posts and put a new roof on it.
Dude, the 525 house was an old, Victorian. It was built in 1898. What, yours must have been even before that.
It was 1890. It was like
Holy
stamped
shit.
on the steps or whatever.
Yeah. Those guys could build fucking houses back then.
Yeah, it's a cool house. I like that place. My ex isn't really caring for it the way I would hope, but I'm sure she's having struggle with that. So
It's
whatever.
a humongous house.
Yeah.
It's a lot of upkeep.
Yeah.
That wraparound porch, that thing was awesome.
Yeah.
Jamming in the basement too. It was as far as basements go, we got into it last night about basements. I was ripping on basements, how bad they suck for especially large or tall people like us.
Yeah, but those were like 10-foot high ceilings in that basement.
Exactly.
And some decent sized little windows, egress windows or whatever. So you got a little light. It was a pretty good spot.
I was just ripping on all basements in general because every band seems to wind up practicing in a shitty, low ceiling, dingy basement.
Around here for sure.
And I was so excited when we finally got the 525 house, which is 5th and Lincoln, old 2-story Victorian house,
Yeah.
and just kicked everything out, put the drums in the living room. No television, no couch, no nothing. Just it was the jam house, and
That's a beautiful thing. Those kind of things usually only last a minute, though.
And that one did too. Yeah, they tore it down.
Yeah.
Sadly, there's a documentary coming up all about it called "The Last Days of Fauci 5."
Very cool.
Very close to getting released.
Vegas is open again, right? Like people are playing, and is everybody masked up? Like what's the situation
yes,
down
the
there?
employees are fully masked.
What about the patrons?
Patrons, it's a false hypocrisy of standards. From what I hear, they pretty much just have to pretend like they're wearing a mask.
So it'd be like all down, their nose all out and all that shit, or?
And they still smoke cigarettes. And apparently every casino just reeks of weed now. So, but what I've heard is like even at really fancy hotels like Wynn and Encore, the maids don't really want to clean the room. So your whole stay, they just want you to check out before they even go in there. That kind of sucks. A lot. Wynn and Encore closed except for on the weekends now, so they were really struggling. It's hanging on by a thread. It's running, but it's running at a really reduced capacity.
Well, it's because it's a bad idea. What the fuck are they doing? Like
it's one or the other. If you ask me,
yeah.
You either got to open it up or you got to keep it closed and say, "Here's some assistance to help you through this."
I mean, and everything's so fucking regulated down there that they could absolutely mandate masks and mandate, go outside to smoke and, to get some distance or whatever. They could fix that.
I think what I've heard, and this is probably a couple months old now, but if you're outside the casino walking, then it's really strict. There's like security and everybody's yapping and there's a lot of pressure. But when you're gambling on a table, what they've done now, which blows my mind, I'm so glad I don't have to be a casino dealer anymore, the plexiglass in between each spot. Like a phone booth.
Oh my fucking God.
What I would call it is like a urinal.
Right.
So like blackjack, it's like a bank teller. You have to slide your money and cards under the plexiglass. Every player has a partition of plexiglass.
So what the fuck does that do though? Like the card, you're not getting new cards every deal.
Well, what are we doing here? I mean,
right.
I mean, as long as chips are a thing, like we're gonna do a fuck all. But I recently started dating a girl again, and she's a casino dealer. She's a blackjack craps dealer, and a lot of them that are kind of like her, they wear multiple masks. So they'll start with an N95, then they'll put at least one regular surgical mask around that, if not 2 or 3. Then they'll put on goggles, and on top of that, a face shield. Right.
Fuck me, man. That like I used to go into MRSA patient rooms, and I had to gown up and all that stuff. But like, it's almost worse to be a casino dealer than to be a phlebotomist in a hospital. Where I was exposed to everything.
It's always been a really dirty profession.
Yeah.
I mean, before the pandemic, cleanliness, you had to fight tooth and nail. It's something that they used to do a lot. They used to really, clean really well. There's, porters everywhere, and people would go that extra mile to, make sure the tables were clean. But at least in the places I worked, it really took a hit. I mean, it was some of the most dirtiest tables you'd ever want to see. It's one of the reasons I kind of got burnt out after doing it for 20 years and had to quit. But
yeah, I can see how that could be really gross.
But you get sick every year. You build up But see, this is the other ironic thing, because I worked at the Flamingo, and I know a ton of Vegas casinos that had big time norovirus outbreaks, which is very deadly. I know people that have died. Like every time we had an outbreak, we'd have at least somebody that was really either dead or hospitalized. And
and that normally doesn't happen, but in a like a nursing home or a school, like where there's a lot of like mixture of and so that basically shows what kind of level of exposure is happening in that kind of situation.
It ran through everybody, all the employees, all the customers. I mean, there was nobody spared, and they never, for 1 minute. And this is the other ironic thing to me. For years, there's all these stories of people that would have a heart attack on a craps table. They would keel over and die in the middle of a hand, and people would be so cruel and heartless that they would just keep gambling.
You got to finish the hand.
Over a dead body.
Yeah.
Until a stretcher was finally able there to be able to cart him out. I've caught somebody that was collapsing on a crap table. He didn't end up passing out, but he just fainted for a minute. He was an old dude. Happened all the time. You know, you'd hear all these stories. And if you're working at all, like Seth, he works at a hospital. He hasn't had any quarantine vacation. Like,
no.
He's been going to work the whole time.
He would be fired if he took a quarantine vacation.
But this is a good segue into, you've visited the state of Montana quite a bit.
Yeah. I lived there for, what I say is I lived there for a decade one winter.
I remember you having to drive out there for some business-related activities.
So my ex-wife's father, he owned 2 houses. He was a landlord in Portland. He owned 2 or 3 houses in the the ghetto of Portland, Northeast Portland at that time, and he sold them. Like literally only 2 or 3 houses, and he only sold them for, he paid $80 and sold them for $200 or something like that. It was before the big boom in that area, and he took the profits from that and he bought like 35 properties in Butte, Montana. He was getting old and he couldn't really handle it, so we went out there a couple times. My ex ran all his finances, the books of all of that. And we talked about moving out there, and then we ended up moving out there because the education system in Portland was different for special education, because my daughter has a chromosomal disorder and needed care. And we went and talked to what the schools were like in Montana, and we just mentioned our daughter and set up a meeting, and all of a sudden there was like 12 people at this meeting, and they were all into it, and we're like, okay, we can move to Montana, so we ended up moving out there for 1 school year. But the place was horrible, so we had to come home.
I forget, where is Butte? Is it on the west or east? Or?
It's west, an hour and a half south of Helena. It's a cool state. But Butte was a town that was mined really heavily. When they struck gold and copper, and it's called the richest hill in the world or something like that. And they raped this place, man. They just seriously just sucked all the lifeblood out of this entire town. And there's a thing called the Berkeley Pit, which is this super deep lake it's all acid. They have to have a guy whose job is to run a boat all along this acid-filled lake, so that birds don't land on it.
Wow.
But there's positives from it, apparently, because one year, this is what caused the boat driving guy to have a job, was a flock of geese came in, they landed on it, they got fogged in, and they stayed there too long and they died. But now, because those geese died in there, there's some weird, crazy algae growing in it that is supposedly being tested and researched for cancer help somehow. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey.
That's a real story.
There's still abandoned mines in Nevada and California, the ghost towns. They're tourist attractions.
Right.
They just were booming, and then all of a sudden one day, gone.
Yeah, this town, I wrote a record about it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it. I would love to tackle your musical journey backwards.
Okay.
Starting with this record. So the record is entitled Butte, Sadness on an Incline.
Yeah.
What is that title? I mean, sadness on an incline, like an ever increasing amount of sadness.
Well, that's kind of the symbolic meaning, but it literally, it was literal as well, because Butte, Montana is on a hill. It's the greatest, richest hill in the world or whatever. And the downtown part, or I guess they call it uptown. It's kind of the older, more old houses, because it was a very rich town. So there's some beautiful old Victorian homes. We bought one for whatever, $90,000, right by the head stacks of these mines. And it's cool, but it's sad, because they really have just sucked all the life out of everything around there. And you can feel it. Like, I know that sounds weird or whatever, but like you can feel it.
And so what, is everybody just on the dole up there? I mean,
yeah, dole and meth, and and just doing their thing. And it's sad. It's very intertwined. Butte is known around Montana as the kind of the party town. People go there to get fucked up and fight.
Is it a college town?
There's a University of Montana in Butte.
Okay.
But the main college is actually Missoula. But there is there's a college there. But it's not about that. It's just that's where people go to like get really fucked up. St. Patrick's Day is a huge day there. And Butte's known for fighting, like so people would be out in the street fighting all the time. And,
Great.
yeah, it's fucking, it's a trip. Very, very different for me. I didn't like it there at all, and I was working way too much there because I had a job in Helena, so I would leave an hour and a half before work, go and work at the VA up in Helena, come home, and so that was like almost 11 hours or whatever, hour and a half each way plus 8 hours of work. Oh no, I had a lunch hour, so 12 hours. And then I'd come home and have to do like something at those rentals that we were talking about. So I'd have to light a pilot light or, go look at somebody's fridge or some shit.
In the middle of winter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And is that where you wrote the majority of this record?
So how I wrote that record was I had this little recorder, and in that drive from Helena to Butte every day, just I wouldn't listen to the radio or anything. I just let my kind of brain come up with stuff, and I would whistle or hum it into the recorder. Little lyric stuff would come, and I started sending those to Pat. And
we should say this is Pat Kearns.
Yeah, my friend Pat, and he's a producer, and we collaborate really well on music, and I've only met a couple of people in my life like that, and Pat is definitely one of them. He's my friend. I miss him. I don't talk to him enough.
He's got it made in the shade right now. Have you seen his Facebook?
Dude, he worked his ass off to get what's going on with
Bro,
him.
He's looking like the fucking genius
because he is a genius, dude. That's the thing.
You're off the grid with a solar powered studio,
right?
In California.
Right.
I mean, in the desert. I mean, it's the best of both worlds.
No, he's got it. He was trying to talk me into buying some property down there, and I fucking like an idiot. I was involved in my world at the time and didn't listen. I should have listened though.
His studio, Goat Mountain Recording, finally open. It took a long time to build. I mean, I've been waiting with bated breath for the opening of this place. He's finally doing sessions and tracking it.
No, I know. I saw that.
It's amazing. Do you listen to his radio show?
I don't. I should though.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's a real deal. It's an FM radio show that features local music from I think they call it the Morongo Basin.
Yeah,
but anywhere in that area.
And he came through town with a couple people who are from that area. Whatever, a year ago, 2 years ago, and I went and saw him, and those people were fucking great. So I bet the radio show's good.
There's a handful of artists that really blow me away. One of them in particular is they're called the Adobe Collective.
I think they were some people I saw.
Well, I guess they play with Pat on a tour, or they were in a band. Pat, I'm sorry, buddy, I'm butchering this, but yeah, it's the local music showcase. I think it's what is it, 107.7 or 101.7?
It's something like that.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Man. Just in time for the end of the world, I'm going to be in the Mojave Desert, off the grid in a solar powered setup.
Yeah, Pat's a genius, dude. That's just true. Yeah, so I was sending these things back to Pat, and he's like, "Man, these are songs. We can do this." And so we started like just talking about it. I was writing stuff. I would write stuff out so I didn't lose it, and which is a different process for me, because normally if I start writing something lyrically, I kind of kill the song if I actually write it down on paper. So this was a new kind of process for me. Whistling into a little thing was a new thing. So this whole process was new, and it felt good. If I could maintain my creativity, hang out, talk to my friend. All this kind of stuff. So, and then everything blew up in Montana, which thankfully, really, because it was miserable out there. And we came back. I had the U-Haul packed, and Hannah got out of school. And 2 days later, I was driving out of that town with my finger held high in the air. And we came back, and I started talking to Pat. He's like, "We should do this then." And we started like actually fleshing out the songs and making them real and making them a thing and talking about who's going to play on what and how it's going to be. And I started practicing with the people that I wanted to play on it, and it just all kind of came together, and it was great.
And before Pat started an off-the-grid solar-powered studio in a really awesome temperate climate, he ran a studio here in Portland called PermaPress,
right,
which was right off Sandy Boulevard.
Right behind Centaur.
And what is that, Katie O'Brien's?
Yeah, Katie O'Brien's was around the corner.
So the move was we'd go get breakfast and maybe a screwdriver or two. Katie O'Brien's. I mean, he wouldn't, but we would.
Yeah.
And for whatever we were there tracking, but it was a very compact, tight studio. Great board, Pat, of course, doing it, and he made a lot of projects out of that studio until one day, the Portland gentrification condo craze caught up. And they decided to build these high-rise condos right behind the studio, which, there's no way to run a business while that's going on. I mean, I was here, 8 months ago. It was still...
Well, he couldn't record anything for sure. There's all this construction stuff going on and all that stuff. So he left way earlier than everybody else. But I think everybody else is out there now. Centaur's out. Katie O'Brien.
Centaur's gone now?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, everybody's gone. Because there was a weed store there. I thought they'd be able to hang in. They had all the money. I thought they could push back maybe. But...
it just goes to show you. It's crazy. I mean, but in the glory days when he still had a studio, you did a lot of the tracking there. I don't know. I'd love to speculate how much records costs. Having spent a number of thousands of dollars on my own personal records, and some of which are still unreleased.
But Pat gave me the sweetheart deal on that stuff, though. It cost something, but it wasn't anything that was bad. I mean, I don't remember, I don't remember if I even thought about the full number that I spent, because it didn't really matter. It was for me. I was trying to produce a piece of art. Literally, when I went to talk to the people who were helping me design the cover and the record itself and all that stuff, I wanted, when you open that record, for it to be a piece of art. And so I wasn't really thinking about the money part of it.
I think this hill is too full of misery. I think this hill is too full of pain. I think this hill is too full of heartache for happiness to exist again. They raped this land, they dug it up, and stripped mine and has taken all the love. They killed and maimed, they broke and stole. Explosions and death were the goal. I think this hill is too full of ghosts. I think this hill is too full of blood. I think this hill is too full of tears for us to spend our years. They raped this land, they dug it up, stripped mine and has taken all the love. They broke and stole, they killed and maimed. It's all just part of their game. I think this hill is too full of misery. I think this hill It's too full of pain. I think this hill is too full of heartache for happiness to exist again. For happiness to exist again.
Is that the great Mark Breitenbach on piano?
It definitely is. Yeah. Yeah. The best piano player around.
Yeah, that's a good track. I forgot all about that one. Man, and everything we're talking about with the mining and
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if that's not what the song is about, man.
That's what the song's about. Yeah, it was really weird. I wrote that when I was fully like fucking done with that city. And done living there, done having to deal with all this shit. And all that is not the town's fault entirely. I mean, definitely somewhat. But, my ex and her family and all that fucking shit just was like too much to bear. So it reflects in all of that. I don't know. There's just sadness in that shit. I don't know. And in that town, it feels like the rocks are permeated with it. You
can't escape it.
Yeah, the blood just doesn't wash away, man. Like that amount of sadness and misery just seeps in, and it fucking stays.
It's becomes sacred almost, like
Right.
a burial ground.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a good way to say it.
All right, welcome to the 525 Records podcast. We're here to bum you out big time. We're here to talk about mining disasters,
Right.
people dying,
Right.
all kinds of uplifting music.
All right, salted ground.
I'm going to play one more song off that record. It's another kind of slower one, but I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. The album is Butte, Montana, Sadness on an Incline, by the great Robert Bruce Burnham. And the song is track 11, She's All I Want.
It's quite a blow, but you didn't know. Took 20 years to feel the pain. It wasn't nice, but you didn't think twice. 'Cause Papa said it'd be okay. Didn't know if you're gonna be alright. I really didn't expect to see you tonight. But you came, I'm here. And I don't think that it's clear that you're all alone and alone. Yeah, she's all I want. Yeah, she's all I want and more. Yeah, she's all I want and more.
That's some of my favorite shit on that
Yeah.
record. Those trains ran right by Pat's studio, Permapress, and we set up a mic that sat out there for like I think it was all night or 2 or 3 days. I'm not sure.
Those trains also ran right by the 525 house.
Yeah.
You know, 5th and Lincoln, right off of MLK Grand. The train tracks went right under the underpass. There's a new Max station there now.
Right.
We would hear them in the house all the time when we were recording, and I too tried like hell to capture them a lot of times. I'm fascinated with train horns because you can't really put a note on that train whistle.
Right.
It's like every note at the same time. It's like, and you know, it may have a general overall reed pitch, but it's like if you ever sit with a train horn, or like I would be sitting around the house with a guitar, I would hear the train horn and I would try to find the pitch, and it's like every note worked.
Right.
It was the strangest thing. I don't even know. Do you know what is a train whistle composed of?
I don't know.
It's some seriously magical secret shit, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's some kind of crazy major harmony.
There's something about it though that I just love though. Like it's and maybe it is some crazy weird, you know, harmony major, whatever. But like, I don't know. It hits me right. I like that thing.
It shouldn't be that soothing because there's a heavy dissonance to it, yet it's overwhelmingly major and happy at the same time, as it's like annoying and warning you, hey, there's a locomotive coming your way. This is the point of a train whistle. You know, there's something soothing and hypnotic about it at the same time. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's just you hear it and you feel good.
Yeah, I enjoy a train that goes by at least every once in a while by your house. Like if you hear that and you're chilling in your house, there's something really nice about that. But we had this whole plan on how to capture that, me and Pat, and implemented it, and then he mixed it. That's a couple different trains, you know. It's a whole thing.
There's almost a binary where it's like one is higher than the other. It's like a bah, 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 but seamlessly mixed.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It does cool things in headphones.
So, moving backwards through your musical journey, previous to the solo record, you were in a band for a long time. That band was The Smokes.
Yeah. The Smokes was my band for a long time. And it came about by, I was in a band called Barnacle, and it just wasn't working out. I didn't feel like I was doing the thing I wanted to do with music. And so we broke up, and I was kind of moping around for a while, and I was most frustrated with the process in bands that kind of the democratic, you know, like, well, should we play that club? Well, I got to call, you know, 3 people, whether or not they think that's cool. We should take that gig and, you know, whatever. And just all of that, you know, what's the name, what's the logo, what's it all going to look like, and who called the booker, who didn't call the booker, all that nonsense. And I was kind of bitching about it, and me and Pat, again, were hanging out, and he's like, man, you're going to start a band, and you're going to call all the shots, and I'm going to be in it.
I don't think any great band has ever survived with rule by collective. Like, somebody needs to be the guy.
There's no forward momentum without somebody making some decisions.
And everybody else, like a football team, piling in behind them to be the offensive line.
Yes.
The lead blocker.
That's very true. And so that's what happened. And Pat, it was really Pat's encouragement to do it that helped me do it, honestly. And the fact that he was going to be in my band. You know, I love Pat. I saw him first with Big Jim, and I thought he was an amazing guitar player. And we'd become closer friends throughout the years. And the fact that he wanted to play in my band meant a lot. It bestowed a lot of confidence in me, and we did it. And it was awesome.
Those were the early years of the Smokes.
Yeah. We were called King Size then.
The later years of the Smokes, Seth Gibson was, who's also been on the podcast, was the bass player in the Smokes.
He's a great bass player, yeah.
But all you 525 fans out there, if you're a hardcore 525 fan, you'll realize that the last thing we put out was a Smokes live record. The Smokes live at the White Eagle in 2010, and of course yours truly happened to be guest spotting that night.
That's right.
Flubbing a lot of notes, but nonetheless playing bass with you guys live. I was living in Vegas.
That was a fun show.
Yeah.
It was a totally fun show.
And it's available on 525records.com. I think one of the best tracks is Wintertime. And I'm going to play it right now because it's so awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a good time.
My favorite line in that song is "keeps me warm."
Yeah,
That's such a great song, and that was right at the end of the set. And as I recall, I'm down to get your memory on this. What I remember is Blue Skies came up and helped us on that song.
Yeah,
in particular, I believe Mike was playing all the lead guitar.
I thought it was Pat.
This is what I'm saying. I can't remember. It doesn't sound like Pat to me. I thought it was Mike.
No, it's Pat, but he switched into Smokes mode where he was kind of playing more blues
Okay.
and stuff.
Well, see, this is, time fades the memory.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Pat. We can ask him.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be a good bet to settle. It was one of those guys.
That like falling run that you're doing in the solo there is rad.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know if I noticed it before this listen, honestly. And I've heard that recording a few times. So
it's one of my favorite Smoke songs for sure. And
yeah, that's pretty cool, dude.
That show was I Can'ts, Blue Skies for Black Hearts, and the Smokes.
Yeah, it was a great show.
And we talked about on a podcast before how Blue Skies loved a middle because they could get in, get out, pack the van, be gone.
Yeah.
That way they're not opening. They get the bulk of the audience, and they were so.
Well, it really was a sweet spot, and I was fine with them doing that, being that at that show, especially. A
lot of White Eagle shows.
Yeah, a lot of White Eagle shows.
A lot of Tonic shows.
Yeah, a lot of Tonic shows.
Where else?
There was a period where we played the Buffalo Gap. That was a weird show. That sucked a little bit.
Where was the residency?
No, those clubs.
Somewhere it was somewhere on the west side where you had a residency.
That's the Buffalo Gap.
Okay,
where we played there.
That's the stairs.
Yeah, the stairs. Those stairs were brutal, especially with that Rhodes. We would play with the Rhodes then, and that thing was like at least two of us, but better it was three because one guy at top and the two guys at the bottom could push it up. That thing was so fucking heavy.
Well, did you hear the Adam?
It was worth it though.
Alcala podcast?
I did. Yeah.
Well, we had a whole thing about the stairs at the Buffalo Gap and how the Rhodes in particular was really tough to load up.
It was a nightmare, dude. But it was worth it, and we had lots of fun in that show at that little weird place. It was just a little tiny dining room that I think they served beer in or whatever during the day, lunch maybe. And maybe 10 tables, but it would fill up, and people would have a good time. People would ask us, play one that I could dance to, and I would ignore them and then play another song.
As you should. But this is like when you listen to the Smokes live, you are belting out songs with like a really big, beefy, resonant voice. And this is the two shades of Rob that I think exist, because on the song we played before from your solo record, when you hit that high register and you sing soft, it's like, oh wow, there's a vulnerability there that is really impressive, and it really matches the song well. However, anybody that's seen the Smokes live is used to this guttural belting, projecting singing.
But that's what that band was for. I mean, but I played softer songs in that band too. But yeah, I guess I explore that part of my voice a little more with just playing my guitar. It's acoustic stuff.
It's an incredible dynamic range. You can on one hand be like vocal fry and just belting out blues numbers, and then on the other hand you can play a softer song, get into a higher register, sing incredibly soft and subtle, and those are the two sort of sides, the ends of the spectrum, if you will.
Singing is a weird thing, because it I'm pretty shy, though what you're saying doesn't lead to that, but and I struggled with singing a lot. I kind of held back. And there came a point where I had to go, I don't care anymore what people think or whatever. I don't know. I stopped thinking about it. And that's when I felt like I could kind of sing.
I think I have this memory of going to PSU in the cafeteria.
Those lunch shows, those were great, man. They'd pay us, I don't know, it was like $200.
But Pat was on guitar. This is an early Smokes lineup.
Yeah. Those were fun, man. I love those shows.
And it's a cafeteria, PSU, Portland State
Nobody
University.
pays attention to you really at all.
But there's a band and everybody's eating lunch, and you guys are up there.
Yeah, it was fun. No, and people did pay attention. There were plenty of people who came up and said that we were good or wanted to buy a record or get a sticker or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, get on our email list or, you know. But I like those gigs. They were during the day. I always tried to plan another show for that night. And then we'd basically hang out all day. You know, we'd play the morning or lunchtime show and then have a show at the con or whatever later, or the Tonic or, you know, wherever. And those were good days, you know, just hanging out, playing music.
I'm going to rock one more song from Smokes live at the White Eagle. It's available for free on 525records.com. It's the hottest, latest, freshest release from the underground. This is the opener. If we can do director DVD commentary style here, I mean, the thing I've listened to more than anything on this recording is the women in the audience. You know that sort of middle-aged woman, she's 39 or maybe 40.
That's about right. Yeah.
And just the uncontrollable yes, you know, that's to me the Smokes. I saw that over and over again at your guys' shows.
Yeah,
these women
dude,
just at the front of the stage. They're not the young teenage girls,
right,
but they're like the, you know, single moms out for a night or whatever, and they're just uncontrollable. You're listening to the Smokes live at the White Eagle, recorded in 2010. The thing I love most about that song is how measured and calm and composed your vocals are, mixed with Mark, who is 100
freak out. Yeah, it's awesome.
To me, this is Mark's like penultimate live performance. And the other thing about this too is Adam really excels live.
Oh yeah,
you know, having recorded Adam and seeing him play live, it's like he really excels when it comes to the live show.
It's nice to see Adam let it loose a little bit. You know, he in the studio, he's a deep thinking guy, and so he's really thinking about his parts, and he's thinking about that break and how it's going to be, and it's awesome because he's reliable. Like, I know that we've practiced a bunch of times, and we are going to hit that break at exactly that same moment every fucking time.
In the studio, he is Mr. Execution.
Yes, he is not fucking around, and I love that about him. But there's a double-edged sword to it, because sometimes I don't want to fucking hit that break right there because it's feeling really good right here or whatever, and it's hard to communicate that with him because especially in live, because he's just doing it. But in this, he's not calculating it as hard. He's letting it go a little bit, but he's definitely going to hit that spot because he's been working on making sure he's going to hit that spot when we hit the stage, so.
Just treated me bad. Bad, she even made me cry. Baby, if you go, I don't want you to go. Yeah, I know she lies. I know she lies. I know she lies. Secret, baby. I don't wanna know. Oh, lie to me. Lie to me when you come home, baby. If you're gonna go, there by your side. Yeah, I know she lies. I know she lies. I know she lies.
We were going after it. That was awesome.
I mean, Mark has never been looser on stage than he was in this performance because I don't think anybody even knew I was recording. And here I am, I'm asking Pat about mic placement, like, oh, dude, what should I do? He's like, oh, bro, just X, Y, it, and it's not the greatest recording in the world. There weren't the greatest mics.
It's not the best performance. Well, there's all kinds of flubs.
No. It is the greatest performance, and it's the shittiest recording, and that's what I love most. You've heard it on every episode of this podcast. I love it when a song is so good it transcends the quality of the recording that captured it. To me, that is just it's like the Easter egg.
That was a good night, man. That was a good night.
Yeah, and Mark was so loose in that horner on stage. It just sounded so good, and like I'm always torn between that song in particular. I wasn't on bass. I was off stage. It was just you on guitar, Mark on keyboard, and Adam on drums, and that was like the Doors. It has that Doors kind of sound.
Yeah, totally.
Where the low end is sort of it's all on Mark.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Make that left side work harder.
But just like a lead blocker opening up a hole for the running back to run through.
Right.
That's kind of what happens when you have a bass player leave the Smokes. It opens up a door for Mark to sort of just run in for the touchdown.
Run right through, yeah.
And just stand around while he scores buckets. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome. Let's talk about Supernatural Studios.
We spent a bunch of money at that studio.
Yes. Is there anything better than dropping $10,000 at a really nice studio?
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous, but it was fucking awesome.
Worth every penny.
Yeah, it was awesome. Those were great days. It had like a kitchen. We'd like bring food and fucking make up breakfast. And
I've never recorded there.
Record in and then go record in this beautiful room. It opens up to these huge windows, and it's all like wood. And a view of the woods or whatever, and this big beautiful grand piano and separation booths and the whole thing, and the mixing room is like up, so it's overlooking this kind of sunken place. It's a really nice place.
Just a world-class studio.
Yeah, just a really nice place to record.
Like you could fart in there and it would be a gold record.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun. on that, making that record.
And then, so Pat, at this point, what is his role? He's an engineer, but is he also, he's playing on tracks?
He's the man. He's making it all happen. You know, I'm finding the money to make it happen, but he's really making it happen, you know, because I don't know how to run those things. You know, I know how to listen to stuff and give my 2 cents or whatever. But he made that happen. You know, he called the guy, talked to him about the board, how to, you know, the Neve sidecar, all the stuff that was there, and how we were going to use it and what we could use. You know, they had all the locker full of all the microphones and the thing full of all the effects, and the house guitars are beautiful, and the you know, big amazing grand piano, like I said. And I don't know, it was a really nice place to work. But Pat really is the one that made that like actually a possibility.
And he's working with a house engineer at Supernatural, or is
we just
freelance?
Yeah, we just rented the room, and Pat knew how to make that room work.
Well, there's the most amazing cymbal wash on this track that I'm about to play.
Night trains, the ride I like the best. Mad Dog 2020. Whiskey's better than the rest. Didn't know you were looking. I didn't know what you saw. I didn't know that you cared at all.
could listen to that tape hiss all day long. It sounds like everything sounds so good on that song.
No, that's that piano, that grand piano.
Dude,
it really sounded so beautiful.
The drums
and that cymbal wash, the drums are amazing. We got some great tones out of that room.
The vocals are so dry and so perfect.
Pat was on fire there.
But it's,
you know, because he cared about what we were doing, and he lent his whatever full still strength of his talent at it, and it yeah, I'm proud of that stuff for sure.
And I mean, it's such a great song. You know, the thing about you guys, my guilty pleasure is it hits you like a shot of booze, the Smokes, or any kind of Robert Burnham song. The warm fuzzy feeling you get after doing a shot of whiskey, that's kind of it. The Smokes and drinking go hand in hand to me. Now maybe I have a drinking problem, I don't know, but
or a Smokes problem,
one or the other. Yeah. But Robert, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. For the 525 Superfans, we're going to continue for a Patreon bonus. You should definitely check out the 525 Records Patreon for all kinds of awesome bonus content, video footage. 525records.com. We've got the Klaus Fluoride Tribute Dead Kennedy stickers for sale. They're going like hotcakes. So if anyone out there is interested in a vinyl copy of that solo record, Butte, Montana, Sadness on an Incline, how do I, as a fan of Robert Burnham, purchase that vinyl?
You could contact me on Facebook, as lame as that is. I'm working on getting it in more places and me internet distributed, whatever that means.
Thanks for listening to the 525 Records podcast. Robert Bruce Burnham. Check him out. Rob,
thanks, Ellie.
You got it, man. Great time. Good podcast.
Salvation as I fly.